All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking about real music in real time for real people just like you and just like me. Journey. It's crazy. It's 39 years ago. Yours truly went to a concert in late August. I will be celebrating my 39th anniversary of that concert later in the month of August. Journey releases this little album called Escape. By the way, I disagree with most of the rock critics who say Infinity is a better record than Escape. I'm not there with you on it. As much as I love Greg Raleigh being in Journey in that era, and he had a certain distinct vocal style, and he and Perry had this amazing blend on tracks that they performed together. Keep in mind, I think the big problem with the Journey of that era is they didn't do that enough. They should have harnessed that vocal blend more often. You get it, one or two songs on each album, and they should have done like a whole side of those songs with Perry and Raleigh. But Perry was the guy. He was the emerging vocalist, and by the time we get to Escape, Greg Raleigh has left the building, and Jonathan Cain is there. Here's something kind of interesting, and I think I covered this a few years back. Journey's 45, the original 45 from 1981, Don't Stop Believin'. There's a picture of it. Songwriting credits, Steve Perry, Neal Schon, Jonathan Cain. Wikipedia. Jonathan Cain, Steve Perry, Neal Schon. Cain, Perry, and Schon. Now, you'd be like, well, this is just alphabetical. No. The songwriter who has the most input on the song, and it could be that they write all the music of the song, and then the other two guys write or split the songwriting duties, they would still get more credit. Like Don Felder technically used to get more credit than Don Henley and Glenn Frey for Hotel California, because he wrote the entire song. As far as the music goes, he wrote the whole thing, and those guys filled in lyrics. So they would give him a bigger chunk of the credit by listing his name first. This is not alphabetical. It's weird, and you look at the rest of it, and Jonathan Cain's name is first. I don't know if it's supposed to be first, but it's interesting to note. I think Neal Schon had an issue with this a couple years ago. In any event, you can't deny the reason why Escape is such a monster success. The reason it's a monster success is because through and through, it's a really great album. And what's sad is radio really ignores most of side 2, other than Open Arms, which, song by song, to put Open Arms last after you pretty much rocked out the entire album. Now, Still They Ride, it's kind of a power ballad. Who's Crying Now, kind of a mid-tempo, moody West Coast rock song. But between Don't Stop Believin', Stone in Love, Keep on Running, there's a song that was on the radio all the time back in 81, 82. Escape, the title track, incredible song, really showcases both Cain's keyboard playing and Neal Schon's guitar work. Lay It Down was another song that rock radio used to play. Probably the least played song on this record would be Dead or Alive, but it's still a great song. Mother Father has taken on kind of its own life over time. Dean Castronovo did an epic version of it back in the day, where it was him and Steve Augeri, and Augeri would take a break probably because his vocal cords were toast, and Dean Castronovo would be back there on drums singing this incredible song. By the way, Matt Schon, I believe, is Neal Schon's dad, and he gets a songwriting credit on Mother, Father. And then, of course, we've got Open Arms, which doesn't really need to be talked about. Certainly still played every 5 or 10 minutes on American radio stations, and probably stations all over the globe. This is their best album, with no apologies. And for those folks over at Ultimate Classic Rock who every time they do an article they have to rank, it's just dumb. How many times do you need to rank albums by, you do an article, just do the article. All right? It's just weird. But every time you get, what is it, like Generations or something that finishes last, and then it goes down the list. All right? And I can find redeeming qualities in all of the Journey albums, even Generations. Ooh. Maybe not songs sung by Ross Valerie, per se, which I think there's one there. But it's not a train wreck of an album. Compared to other bands that release albums, go listen to Generations. I have it. I actually bought it. And it actually has a QuickTime program on it that you can play a little video. Most people don't even have QuickTime as an app anymore on their computer because it's outdated software, but I've watched the little promo video, and it's really cool. For the year it came out, like 2005, I'm thinking this is pretty neat. It's pretty cool. It was on Sanctuary, which was a record label that went belly up, and it was their first album away from Columbia, and Columbia should have just kept it. They just should have kept this band and just had all of their catalog in one place, but again, if they can't make money on it, even though it would be good for future generations if all the music was in one place on a record label, you could release epic box sets and all that stuff. But in any event, I know Journey had the Time Cubed box set, which is a really cool collection. It's just neat to look back 39 years ago. Next year will be 40, which I'm sure... I wonder if the record label has any plans to do some kind of another re-release or extended album. They did put additional tracks on this remastered 2006 edition. By the way, Steve Perry was in on all of that. And really, Perry and Cain should get a lot of credit for the songwriting. Their creativity at that time was incredible, and to have Neal Schon as your band leader, basically, and say, "Hey, Neal, do this," and Neal was doing whatever they needed him to do to make these songs even better. So the three of them were just, again, an incredible combination of players, and you won't see that again. You won't see that again unless Steve Perry has a change of heart. But he'd be welcome if they wanted to write some stuff together. Wouldn't it be really crazy cool if they would write one song together to be on the new Journey album whenever that's coming out? To have one song that was written by Cain, Perry, and Schon, I guess in this case, or should probably read like the 45. It should be this. Perry, Schon, and Cain, maybe. I don't know. It's interesting. That's a really interesting thing, and I'm sure somebody else has probably picked up on this. I'm sure Neal Schon has picked up on it, but he and John are getting along much better these days because, well, when people want to take over your band, you tend to kind of circle the wagons and say, you know what, we want our band to remain the way it is, or we want to get rid of these guys who are causing the problem and bring in people who want to work. That's the key to Neal Schon. You go back to the documentary, and he's like, I want to find someone who wants to work. And he did. He found Steve Augeri, and then he found Jeff Scott Soto, and then eventually Arnell, who definitely fits in and likes to work. So good stuff. A great album. Brings back so many memories from the summer of 1981. I talked to a lot of people around my age group who lived through 1981. It's so weird to say lived through 1981, but yeah. And a lot of us think you had Foreigner 4, you had Journey, if you go back through that year, all of the great music that came out, for rock radio and top 40, that could have been like the best year ever. You still had some leftover stuff from the 70s that was kind of poking through here and there, which added more flavor and more color to the landscape before new wave really. And you had the great new wave records too. But, you know, later on it would be more keyboard oriented, and some of that other stuff would not find a home anymore. If you were a singer-songwriter, you know, Robbie Dupree or something like that, you were kind of over, which was sad. Christopher Cross, who just came out of the gates with that first album, and then the second album was pretty good, and then no airplay after that. Chris, sorry, you don't fit the image. Great band, Journey. If you don't have Escape, maybe you should go check out the extended version, which has got, you know, Don't Stop Believin' live at the Summit in Houston, which is just an epic version. Who's Crying Now? Open Arms. I mean, just to have those added. Plus you got La Raza del Sol, which is the B-side of Still They Ride. They didn't include Only Solutions, which I think was a B-side to Don't Stop Believin'. Or maybe, yeah, I don't know. It could have been the B-side to Don't Stop Believin' or Open Arms. I can't remember. But Only Solutions was in this same time frame. And I know that's on some other compilations. But in any event, there it is, Escape. And not to be confused with the band of the same name who reside from Ohio, who are out there doing a few gigs during this lockdown period. If you need your Journey fix, you're going to have to travel to Northeast Ohio or Indiana or wherever those guys are playing. But it is the summer, the Escape summer. If we could all just escape the pandemic and all the tension going on, best thing you do is just slap some headphones on and enjoy. There you go, folks. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I appreciate all the new subscribers coming on board. And again, patrons are welcome. I need patrons. We're having a little shift in patronage, and it continues. So I need support. $1 a month. You can sign up for just $1 a month. I had a patron today send me some great stuff about classic rock stations in response to the video I did about how classic rock stations are very boring, and some of the music they're playing isn't really classic rock. And you can argue that point with me, but I think the stuff before the grunge apocalypse, to me, that's classic rock. And there are some things that came after that that would still qualify, but then it becomes a lot more selective. Just because it's old doesn't mean it's a classic. It has to kind of fit, and some of that stuff just, I don't know. Again, as you get older, you'll start to notice they just arbitrarily start putting things into the classic rock category that aren't anywhere near classic rock. So that's it. That's my video. Thanks for watching. See you soon.